Hello, this is Chance with Collectibles by Chance and Black Market Magic. We are going to be opening up a Modern Horizons booster box today. See if we get anything fun or interesting to throw into some of our modern decks or EDH decks. I really like the art on the box. All this gold, the gold of the packs, it's all just really, really pretty, and it kind of makes it feel like it's more valuable than it actually probably is. We've got 36 packs to go. Let's get cracking. I'm going to skip over most of the commons because nobody's super worried about those. This little foil token that they added in, that was a nice little bonus. Nobody even knew about that until the first pre-release happened. You can see we've got a foil soldier here. I don't know the odds of it. I've heard people say 1 in 6 packs. The art series, a lot of people aren't too excited about this. I think it's fine, especially with Chiller Pillar. That's one of those super flavor home run cards that isn't going to see play anywhere, but I think it's fun to have it around. Maybe not in a set that costs $7 a pack. We got a couple of slivers. I know that they're trying to really push that forward. Ruination Rider, Rebuild, nothing exciting. Bizarre Trade Mage, that's one of those cards that I think is going to end up being a little busted with Hollow One. Being able to get rid of those Phoenixes, play your Hollow Ones. Got a nice setup there. And then we also have some nice full art snow-covered lands in every pack. I imagine those are going to be worth a pretty penny eventually. Squirrel token, just like the one from Conspiracy, nothing too fancy. And this neat looking construct. I wouldn't mind having that in foil. It looks pretty awesome with the purple flare. And then we got that fancy Bear Queen as our art. I say there aren't any commons to get excited about. I think Umezawa's Charm is actually probably one of those that might pop up somewhere. It's got a lot of good value to it, and it's a good callback to an old card that people really like that's banned in Modern. I've heard a lot of good things about Undead Augur. People thinking that might give zombies a little bit of a chance in the Modern format, and it's also just going to go into any zombie EDH deck that ever comes out. And our first mythic of the box is going to be Yawgmoth. He does a lot of neat things, especially with that Vizier Snake Lady from Amonkhet. I can't remember her name, but I know that basically just wipes the whole field. You keep sacking the dudes, putting neg-1 counters, drawing cards. Just goes on forever. I've already got somebody wanting me to make him an EDH deck out of him. That's kind of boring. There's not a lot of art to that. I feel like they could have picked something a little bit better. King of the Pride. Stop trying to make cats a thing. They're not going to be a thing for a while. They're going to need a lot more help than that. Throes of Chaos is one of the more interesting cards that they printed here. I love the fact that it just makes your lands late game never be a dead draw. I could see John running a singleton of that just to keep up with things. Pashik Mons, throwback to Mons Goblin Raiders. It's a fun little card. I mean, he almost seems aristocratic-y. He's like all the other goblins, legendary goblins they've done. He makes lots of goblins at very efficient prices. Talisman of Conviction. That was neat that they finished out this cycle. It's a shiny, so it'll probably be worth something eventually. The talismans have always commanded a higher price than any other mana rock, partially because of their scarcity, and partially because of the fact that they cost 2 and immediately grant you a mana. I know a lot of new and casual players don't like to pay life, but that's one of your best resources whenever you get into the game. This neat new bear token comes from a really sad bear card. Hopefully we'll pull one at some point. This is some interesting art. It's not poorly done, but it's not my style by any means. Talisman of Hierarchy, more of that talisman cycle, nothing to get too excited about. And Nurturing Peatland. Adding the Horizon Canopy effect to a set of enemy-colored lands was a really, really nice deal, and I think that's what's going to keep the box value up on this long term. Our shiny was just a Treetop Ambusher. Still got our little full art snow lands. I'm going to try to get as many of those as I can. You can never have too many snow lands. I think I might get all these and put them on a plaster them onto like a sheet, put them behind some glass. Squirrel's Nest is an interesting card for us to have gotten into Modern. You don't have the infinite combo that exists in Legacy with Earthcraft, but it's still good value and kind of fun. Tribute Mage creates a lot of interesting interactions with a lot of really good artifacts that cost 2, and you've got an infinite combo involving Urza and Sword of the Meek. It goes and picks up the Sword of the Meek right away. Force of Rage. Somebody's going to have to explain why this card exists to me, because it wants to be aggressive, and I guess it has the flexibility to be a little bit defensive. It's definitely the most disappointing of that entire cycle, in my opinion. Hey, it's the shiny token that actually looks kind of neat with that shiny purple. Some full art sliver. One thing to note about this set is there are a lot of new ninjas, and I played ninjas at the pre-release, and it was a lot of fun. Watcher for Tomorrow is a pretty exciting card, getting that hideaway mechanic onto a creature. It's pretty much straight card advantage. I feel like that straight up replaces Augur of Bolas anywhere he would have been. I guess he only really sees playing Pauper. And we got the cool sword. This is the one that I'm the most excited about. Proliferate really seems nice with your Planeswalkers, and +1/+1 counter helps you make sure you have something to proliferate. Not a bad mythic to open whatsoever. There's that Cascade card, full art. Really lets you see what the artist was trying to do there. I really like the art series. I think it's a neat little addition. I hope they keep doing stuff like that in the future. Lesser Manticore, a nice callback to the old Manticores that existed in Mirrodin and then Scars in Mirrodin. Hall of Heliod's Generosity. All those cards that have been taking things and putting them on top of your library, Volrath Stronghold and Academy runs have always been pretty solid. Neat little foil ninja. I'm going to be building a cube for that new format Oathbreaker, and my blue-black is going to be ninja based. I think that would be fun. I was originally going to do mill, but mills are really, really bad in a multiplayer format, especially when you can only do one-ofs. You can't just jam 4 mind grinds and 4 mind lock orbs and hope that it all works out. There's that Trade Mage. Looks nice in full art. Here's an interesting uncommon that they put into Modern that I wasn't expecting. Unearth gets back little creatures. Pretty excited to see something like that. It also has Cycling, which plays well with Astral Drift, which maybe we'll get a couple of those. That's something I'm expecting to be pretty good. A Mist Syndicate Naga. It's another one of those ninjas. This one makes copies of itself, so it's kind of exciting. Really helps overwhelm the board. The ninjas seem to be pretty good at doing that. One of the uncommon ones drops illusions that are evasive themselves that help you keep ninjutsuing in the creatures that you have. Nope, another foil token. Illusion. That's speaking of that ninja that I was talking about that made the evasive illusion creatures. Headless Spectre. Cool art, interesting card. Here's another exciting card for Modern, Goblin Matron. I may or may not have gone and bought a whole bunch of Portal Goblin Matrons, hoping that that deck takes off. Seems pretty good. And Hogok, the Arisen Necropolis. This is one of those really strange cards. You can't spend mana to cast it. You gotta delve or convoke. He's not bad. You may cast him from your graveyard as a solid little bonus. It's one of those that feels to me like it's going to be too tricky and then someone's going to bust it and make a deck and it's going to be a $40 card or something stupid like that. At least the foils. Some more of those full art ninjas. Eventually I'll get all those full arts, especially if I keep cracking boxes like this. Llanowar Tribe. I saw a fun little card someone made up online, and it was Llanowar Tribe is basically 3 Llanowar elves stapled together. They said 3 lightning bolts, and it was just 3 mana for 9 damage. We know that's never coming, but it was a cute thing to see. This Scrapyard Recombiner, Modular 2, I was real excited until I realized that the affinity list that runs the green enchantment that double or adds an extra counter does run a whole lot of constructs. One of them, it isn't a construct, is Arcbound Ravager, but that's probably a good thing. That'd be a little bit too busted if you could go get one of those whenever you wanted it. There's that Lesser Manticore in full art if you wanted to get a better look at that. Firebolt, I think there's a better flashback card to kind of help us cast our Phoenixes out of red that got printed in this set, actually. Carrion Feeder, being able to sacrifice creatures to give +1/+1 counters. I think that's a pretty big piece to Mono Black Devotion that has not been around. They've always wanted a 1 mana sack outlet, and Viscera Seer just hasn't done it. It's been fine for digging, and I'd still probably run some number of both. And then Genesis was our rare. It's a really fun EDH card. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be something that sees a ton of play in Modern, but it's a neat thing to see, and it was starting to get a little outlandish in price. Foil Elephants to go with the Terastodons that have been reprinted 150 times. And that card's still worth a couple bucks. Imagine if that had only been printed once. Ooh. Sword art always looks good in full. They did a couple of playmats before, and those were pretty highly sought after. Battle Screech. That's a neat card to see that I'm not so excited about this being in Modern, but I am excited about this being more readily available for Pauper players. Then we got an Aria Flame. It looks to be pretty much, I'd say, a worse Power Manager's Ascension. If you really get going, it'll do a lot more damage, and maybe the Storm decks can do it, but with Flusterstorm being around and this new Force of Negation to stop decks from comboing off, and it doesn't protect the combos themselves, that's going to halt things quite a bit. Some cool full art Sliver. This is another one of those cards that might give Goblins some legs. Being able to pop in at instant speed for 2 mana and deal quite a bit of damage to a creature, planeswalker, golem, or goblins you control, and you're going to have a lot of goblins if you're playing goblins. Unsettled Mariner. I know some people were talking about this not being a card for Merfolk because Merfolk doesn't run white, but this almost seems like a reason to run white. It's every creature type, it's a shapeshifter changeling, and also whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability, they have to pay an extra 1 or that's countered. And it's a 2 mana 2/2. That and humans, that's the two places you're going to see that. So here, I don't know if there's a full art of this. I'm really kind of hoping there is because that's hilarious. Get rid of the guy, give him an elephant. Shows an elephant squatting on a guy. It's pretty much a color shifted Beast Within, and Beast Within's played all over the place. Deep Forest Hermit. The Hermit deck that exists in Legacy using Recurring Nightmare to get these kinds of cards back. Nick Fit's the name of the deck. And it played the original Hermit. We don't have anything like that in Modern to really kind of push it up. I forgot to show the full art card. It's that Mons Raider guy. Polish Mons, I think. And we got a foil Cyclops. Art that is a callback. I don't even remember the card, but it's got a guy riding a zebra. Wall of Blossoms is pretty exciting to get into Modern. I don't know if it's actually going to go anywhere. Eladamri's Call. For the first, I don't know, 10 years of me playing Magic, I always said Eldamari. I don't know why. But being able to have a tutor for 2 mana and green and white, it's probably going to push those green-white combo decks just a little bit. Getting your Kitchen Finks. And there's a couple of things in here that combo with Kitchen Finks too. I haven't seen any yet. There's a Unicorn, I believe. I did not know that they put the Karn Construct token in this. That's pretty. It's one of the ones I wouldn't mind having blown up and put onto a poster on the wall. So the Cycling Lands got brought into Modern. That's kind of exciting, especially with that Astral Drift that we already have seen kind of popping up. And then we have Giver of Runes. It's kind of better, kind of worse, Mother of Runes. I really like the card overall. Giving protection from colorless is pretty exciting, but not being able to tap and block kind of makes it a little more awkward. Rebuild. That's a neat little addition to Modern, I suppose. There was an ad Wizards put up featuring this card, and everybody complained about the eyes and how weird its eyes looked, and then they just kind of went into its eye over and over again, and then people complained that they couldn't see the card. Dead of Winter. Let me tell you something. This one-sided board wipe for snow decks, I got real excited and took pick one, pack one in my pre-release draft. That was a mistake because it's really hard to get caught up on snow permanents if any other person is trying to do that, and people just take the snow lands because they're cool. I actually did win me one game because I had a couple of snow lands and a guy was playing a couple of Battle Screeches, so I was able to get rid of a few creatures, enough to make it to where I survived. Another one of those slivers. Looks like it's going to be the first slivers chosen. Fallen Shinobi. Zombie Ninja. I think that's something people will be excited to play. His ninjutsu cost is a little crazy, being a 2 and blue-black, but exiling the top 2 cards, and until end turn you can cast those cards without paying their mana cost. Like, sure, free Emrakul. Sure, free Ugin. I hear Ugin spiked quite a bit recently because people are thinking that Tron is going to be amazing based off of the new London Mulligan. Well, let me tell you a secret. I think Mill's going to be amazing based on the new London Mulligan, but I've been pushing that deck for a long time, and you'll probably see me push it some more. Legendary, mono-colored, but actually 5-colored Morphon the Boundless. They wanted to give people a real legendary creature. Fact or Fiction, that's exciting to get into Modern. One of those cards that really tests the metal and mental ability of the opponent. So this is their take on the cycle of cards from Khans of Tarkir, or Dragons of Tarkir, I believe, the Sieges, where it comes into play and you choose a mode. One of these modes makes somebody lose the game. In a 2-player game, that's the same thing as winning. In EDH, I could see the first mode, making a bunch of mirror tokens, whenever you cast artifact spells, being a little bit more relevant than counting the number of artifacts in your graveyard and helping you draw and discard cards. Smiting Helix. I almost feel like it's overcosted just a little bit at 4 mana, but 3, it may have been too good. I don't know. It's also a sorcery. That kind of hurts it. But the flashback being exactly Lightning Helix. Deal 3 damage, gain 3 life. There's another one I'm not. Prismatic Vista? It's one of those going to be in every EDH that anybody ever makes, and it's going to cause a weird price demand on it all by itself. Tempered Sliver. More of these slivers coming around. I don't know if Slivers is going to be good enough for Modern. I would like to think so. You've got everything you have in every other format. Crashing Footfalls. Suspend, create a couple of rhinos. I mean, suspend for 4. I don't know. I'm starting to think a little bit less of Modern Horizons and more like EDH Horizons, but we'll see as time goes on. This is some really cool art. Seb McKinnon has recently just been knocking it out of the park with everything. So if snow permanents and snow-based decks become a thing, I could see 3 mana looking at the top 6 cards of your deck and putting any number of snow permanents into your hand, being a pretty heavily played card. Pillage getting printed into Modern for the first time is interesting. It might be a better sideboard card than just the 3 mana destroy a land, except for in red you have the one that deals 2 damage. Tectonic Reformation makes all your lands have cycling for a red. I don't feel like the cycling deck wanted to be red, but maybe that pushes it in that direction. I always imagined the cycling deck would be blue, white, black. We got a new rare, Lightning Skelemental. It's fun. That's about it. We got that nice little Umezawa's Charm as a full art. That's really pretty. I unfortunately can't tell you exactly what the card does, but it's called Winds of Abandon, and Noah Bradley did a really good job with that art. Crypt Rats. Another one of those, I'm glad it got printed so Pauper players have more copies of it available. It's not going to be super valuable unless, again, the set doesn't get opened at all. Spiteful Sliver, whenever slivers you control have, whenever the sliver is dealt damage, deals that much damage to target creature or player. So we have a lion kind of fading in and out of existence. Ephemerate. Cloud Shift wasn't good enough, so I assume Ephemerate won't be, but maybe that tiny push of having Rebound will put it over the edge. Dredgescape Sliver. Unearth was such a poorly received mechanic from Alara. Giving all your slivers on Earth, I mean, that's obviously fine, especially when they have haste and flying. You're just going to wreck everybody with that. And then Kess Dissident Mage. So this is one of those cards that saw play in Legacy, and I feel like it would have saw more play if it wasn't plagued by the fact that it was only foil, and most people had to get proxies because their foils would warp really badly because that commander set was printed right in the middle of the cardstock quality. I don't know what you want to call it. I know a lot of people are upset. Elemental. It's a nice elemental. It's the played elemental token, but on the same token, they've already done that. Elemental is a foil. So, and Skelemental. We just had that card a couple of seconds ago. The art looks really nice and full. Nether Spirit. First time into Modern. Been around for a while. I'm glad they went. I mean, I guess they kind of had to go with the one that didn't affect graveyard order. You only get to have 1 creature in your deck if you're going to be playing this, though. I know decks have gotten away with it in Legacy with the Modern mentality of cards being put spells on creatures, and that makes everything less spell oriented. And we still haven't had any home run hitters. Hopefully we've got one coming up. $200 boxes are nothing to scoff at, so you want to get something that makes you feel like you got value. We got another of the cycle lands, but that's not what's exciting. Scale Up. That deck that used to exist called Infect. I imagine this is going to help, but Infect's Fall from Grace involved Fatal Push, and this doesn't do anything to combat Fatal Push. It does make the deck a little bit more aggressive, but still, when you put all your eggs into one basket and then that basket gets pushed off an edge. Yeah. Icefang Quaddle. If you're playing Snowlands, this is strictly better Baleful Strix. I'm kind of excited that this exists, and it makes me really want a snow deck to come around. I've got too big of a pile here. It's another one of those arts that looks really good when you blow it up and really get to see the detail. Battle Screech. I may have mentioned that one earlier. It's good to have it out of a $5 in common range because no one could get a hold of them. Regrowth in the list of cards that we already thought was in Modern and aren't. And Planebound Accomplice. Planeswalker Sneak Attack. We haven't got any Planeswalkers I think that are worth sneak attacking in yet. Maybe in a Kobolas. Speaking of Regrowth, here's a nice shiny Regrowth. Goblin Oriflame or Oriflamme. Nice play on an old card. Orcish Oriflame, Oriflamme. They got misprinted to say Goblin Oriflamme. Reap the Past. So return X cards at random from your graveyard to your hand and exile Reap the Past. That seems like a lot of fun, especially in EDH. Anything that's going to be at random, random isn't exactly what any competitive player really wants to be doing. That almost looks better going straight up, or possibly going straight down. another card that I'm not exactly sure what it does, called Answered Prayers, but it's Seb McKinnon. Here's that unicorn I was talking about earlier that helps us combo off with Kitchen Finks. Not that Kitchen Finks needs any more help. I think that deck's already pretty good. And now we get to see that really, really pretty art card that we got earlier, what the card actually does. It looks to be a 2-mana rare, Winds of Abandon, sorcery, exile target creature you don't control. For each creature exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land card. Those players put those cards onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle their libraries with Overload for 4 and 2 white. A little bit worse Path to Exile, so probably not worth worrying about. You've got Path to Exile and you've got Settle the Wreckage, and both of those seem to be doing what that wants to be doing. It's also a sorcery, so that really hurts it. That looks like Sisay. Bristling Bows, making some 2/2 colorless shapeshifter tokens. There's a Lava Belly Sliver, the one that I mentioned earlier. I've seen a lot of these uncommon slivers. This is the one that kind of super duper mini lightning helixes the opponent anytime a sliver enters the battlefield. And Goblin Engineer. I've seen people trying to use this recently with a deck to get out Bolas's Citadel, storm off with Aetherflux Reservoir. That looks like it might be kind of fun. But maybe you should pick up your Goblin Engineers. I was also really surprised to see that they brought back Manifest. That was one of my favorite mechanics. I love the concept, and I liked Ugin a lot too. Interesting. Sling Gang Lieutenant. I knew this was a card. I did not know that it was uncommon. I'm actually glad that it's an uncommon because I don't want that taking up a rare slot, but it's a fun callback and a fun card. Well, we got another one of those super exciting Baleful Strix replacements if you're playing Snowlands or Snow Permanents, and a foil squirrel. It's kind of gross when you get up close and can really see what's going on. Also, another thing I've noticed is it feels like these cards, I know they said they were going to do a little bit better on the card quality. Feels like it's going on here, but I honestly was never really good at telling the card quality myself, except for Modern Masters 2 and Modern Masters 2015, I believe it was. That was where the cards were insufferably bad. I sat a card on my table and just watched it change into a C shape, and I did not buy much of that set because of it. Here's that Hogot guy in a full art form if you want to see the bristles a little bit better. Fiery Inlet. So we got 2 of those lands. That's kind of solid. That's something I expect to see quite a bit of play. And we got my favorite little zombie ninja as a foil. Fun little goblin. I know she has you scry whenever things die. So, so this was my limited all-star. This guy did really, really well. Pings down whatever or pings down the opponent. In my draft, I saw this guy and sat there. He went through and I was playing blue-black, and I was like, I don't remember, there was a ninja that I really wanted, and I took it. And then all the way around the table he went until he got back to me. And I was like, I don't understand why nobody took him. Blizzard Strix, that was one of my friend's key cards. It really helped him, out-tempo his opponents with his mill stuff. Farmsteed Gleaner, hey, this is exciting. Mox Tantalite. I know a lot of people don't seem to like this card, but A, the art is gorgeous. B, what they've always said is that Moxes find a way. Every Mox, people thought Mox Opal wasn't good when it first came out. People still think that a Mox Amber isn't good. It hasn't found a way yet, so that'll be the true test to whether they do or don't. It gets compared a lot to Lotus Bloom because it also has to spend 3 and comes into play. The catch there is that Lotus Bloom, it's really good for like a Storm deck where you want to get all that mana at once. This Mox is going to help decks actually ramp. Hey, look at that. Get a Mox, you get a Mox Art. Face of Divinity. That's probably too expensive to see any play in the Auras list. Abominable Treefolk. Power and toughness equal to the number of snows permanents you control, and when it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So it's kind of like a mini Frost Titan that might not be a mini Frost Titan if you have enough snow permanents. Waterlogged Grove. So we're getting lots of these lands. That's what's going to help make up the box value. And Mox Tantalite's worth a little bit. I don't know how I feel. I guess there's never anything wrong with double-sided tokens. Let me tell you, my problem with them is that I don't know how to sort them. Because you can't sort, it's not a black token. I've always sorted my tokens by color. It's not a colorless emblem. I've had those in their own little pile. I guess moving forward, I'm probably going to have to keep the tokens with the sets that they come out of. This is really good art. I liked it when I first saw it. I don't know if the card is going to be able to see enough play, attaching one to a preordained. Got another Talisman. Urza's Rage got brought into Modern. That was a rare, and then it was a mythic, and now it's an uncommon. Collector Oof. Let's keep taking these reserve list cards and stapling them to creatures. He's obviously more vulnerable than an actual Null Rod. Last pack, let's see what it pulls. Got another foil token. It's a burr. Goblin Matron. I don't know, I like the old art better. On Thin Ice. So we take a card that existed, Chained to the Rocks, I believe. You had to enchant a mountain, and it costs a white. This one, you can enchant a white with a white. So this might be worth playing again if that snow deck ever takes off. So we didn't pull any Planeswalkers. We didn't pull any crazy mythics. But we did get 3 of the lands, and we also got Foil Zombie Ninja and Mox Tantalite, which is up in the air at this point. No one knows if it's going to be amazing or terrible. We will hopefully find out soon. The set officially drops at the taping of this video for 1 more week. However, there's no telling when this will actually get put up. That's what we've got. Nothing too crazy. I enjoyed opening it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. And keep your eye out for some videos in the future. We're going to do more box openings, more themed videos, more deck techs. All that's coming down the line. So have a great rest of your day.